Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Uzma Jafri. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 27th of September. Indian Prime Minister Modi holds talks with Presidents of Cyprus, Iran. UN expresses concern over security ahead of Afghan presidential poll. And Sri Lanka's ruling party nominates Sajith Premadasa as presidential candidate. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday met the presidents of Cyprus and Iran aimed at boosting bilateral ties. Modi was on a 7-day visit to the United States to attend the United Nations General Assembly.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday met Cyprus President Nikos Anastasiadis on the sidelines of the annual United Nations General Assembly in New York in a bid to boost bilateral ties. Both the leaders held talks aimed at driving forward the common desire to deepen and diversify cooperation between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi earlier in the day met Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and discussed bilateral cooperation and exchanged views on the situation in the region. The two leaders also discussed the development of the Chabahar port and noted its importance as gateway to the landlocked Afghanistan and the Central Asian region. India has had long-standing political and energy ties with Iran, but New Delhi has cut off all its oil supplies from it because of the US sanctions.
Continuing India's active diplomatic outreach on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar on Thursday participated in several meetings, including the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting. The ministers reiterated their strong condemnation of terrorism in all its forms.
India's Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar on Thursday attended the BRICS Ministers of Foreign Affairs and International Relations annual meeting on the margins of the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The foreign ministers of the BRICS nations of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa reiterated their strong condemnation of terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, whenever, wherever and by whomsoever committed. They expressed their conviction that a comprehensive approach is necessary to ensure an effective fight against terrorism. Continuing India's active diplomatic outreach, Jaishankar also participated in multilateral sessions, including the meeting of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, or SAARC. The SAARC meeting saw the Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi boycott the event during Jaishankar's speech. Tensions between the two countries have spiked after India ended the special status of Jammu and Kashmir on August 5. The abrogation of Article 370 evoked strong reactions from Pakistan, and it has been trying to internationalize the Kashmir issue. But New Delhi has asserted that the move was its internal matter.
News just in. An Indian Army Cheetah helicopter crashed in Bhutan on Friday, in which both the pilots lost their lives. An Indian Army spokesperson said the helicopter en route from Arunachal Pradesh in India crashed near Yongphula in Bhutan. The two pilots were an Indian Army pilot of Lieutenant Colonel rank and a Bhutanese Army pilot training with the Indian Army. Moving on. Members of the long-persecuted Ahmadi community highlighted years of state-sponsored suppression in Pakistan during an event in Geneva recently. They expressed concerns that draconian blasphemy laws are exploited by religious extremists as well as ordinary Pakistanis to settle personal scores against minorities.
Members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community alleged persecution in Pakistan and demanded justice during a side event organized recently on the margins of the 42nd session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. Representatives of the community raised concerns over the discrimination and violence they have faced over several decades in Pakistan due to draconian legislative laws over accusations their faith insults Islam. They highlighted that in 1974, Pakistan's constitution was amended and the Ahmadiyyas were declared as non-Muslims. In 1984, the Pakistani government enacted ordinance and made it a criminal offence for them to call themselves as Muslims or to refer their faith as Islam.
The extremists in the country have taken it as their mission to target the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and they can simply refer to the fact that the legislation calls for Ahmadis to be targeted, so why should we not target? So as a result of that, hundreds of Ahmadis have been killed in Pakistan, thousands have been harassed, tens of thousands have been charged under the laws.
People are fabricating stories against Ahmadis, such stories whereby they can criminalize them and then get the police, because police is also their accomplice, The judges are their accomplice, the Sharia courts or whatever it is, they don't hear the complaints of Ahmadis, they don't do anything about that.
Activists have long blamed Pakistan for discriminating against its minorities, which is manifested in various forms against Pakistani Hindus, Christians, Sikhs and also Ahmadiyyas and Shia Muslims. Human rights defenders have long blamed that the draconian blasphemy laws are exploited by religious extremists as well as ordinary Pakistanis to settle personal scores against minorities.
The UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan has expressed its continuing deep concerns about the high number of civilian casualties in the country. The mission's concern came at a time when Afghanistan is scheduled to hold its presidential elections on Saturday.
The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, or UNAMA, has expressed its continuing deep concerns about the high number of civilian casualties ahead of the presidential poll in Afghanistan. UNAMA Chief Tatamichi Yamamoto in a statement on Thursday said that disregard for civilian life exhibited by parties to the conflict in recent days, especially in indiscriminate attacks, is appalling, adding that civilians in Afghanistan must be protected. UNAMA's concern came at a time when election and security officials in the country have claimed that the preparations are well in hand and the Taliban has made its aim of disrupting the poll clear with recent attacks. The much-delayed poll scheduled for Saturday is crucial for Afghanistan as peace talks between the US and the Taliban have been suspended by President Donald Trump. The poll was originally set for April but has seen several delays due to the troublesome security and economic and political issues in the country.
Sri Lanka's ruling United National Party has nominated Housing Minister Sajith Premadasa to run in the presidential election on November 16. He will contest the election against opposition party's candidate, former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Sri Lanka's ruling United National Party, or UNP, on Thursday nominated its Deputy Leader, Housing Minister Sajith Premadasa, to run in the presidential election on November 16. Premadasa's nomination followed months of internal division in the centre-right United National Party, as it also considered Parliament Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. 52-year-old Premadasa is popular among the rural poor and has said he will eradicate poverty and improve housing in the country. He will challenge former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's younger brother and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who has been named as the presidential candidate by the main opposition party. The election is likely to be dominated by national security issues after a wave of suicide bombings claimed by Islamic State killed more than 250 people in April, denting the island nation's critical tourism industry.
Former Maoist leader and the current co-chair of Nepal Communist Party, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, who led the decade-long People's War, has said that he takes responsibility for all the positive and negative implications of the insurgency and that he is ready to face action for his mistakes.
Nepal Communist Party co-chair and former Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal on Thursday said that he takes the responsibility for all the positive and negative implications of the insurgency in his country. Dahal, who led the decade-long so-called People's War in 1990 that diminished the monarchy's rule and re-established a multi-party democracy, while speaking at a program organized by the National Human Rights Commission, said that he is ready to face action for his mistakes. The cross-party leadership was invited to discuss ways to take Nepal's long-drawn transitional justice process forward. In the 13 years since the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, no tangible progress has been made when it comes to transitional justice, largely due to a lack of political commitment. The National Human Rights Commission said it was high time parties found a way to take the stalled transitional justice process forward for completing the peace process.
Application-based ride-sharing motorbikes have started providing a massive relief for millions of commuters who used to struggle for hours in traffic in Bangladesh, Dhaka city. Daily commuters in the city said the rides have been helping them to navigate through endless traffic jams, saving their time and money.
Application-based ride-sharing motorbikes in Bangladesh's capital Dhaka have come as a massive relief for millions of commuters who used to waste hours in grinding traffic. The ride-sharing motorbikes are helping commuters navigate through endless traffic jams, saving time and money. For long, moving around in Dhaka was seen as an ordeal, where walking a few miles could be faster than traveling by car or bus.
So sharing a bike ride, it saves me a lot of time. I can reach anywhere on time. Usually on other rides it takes time because of the traffic. So sharing a bike ride really helps me a lot.
So the people right now can actually move a lot faster and a lot cheaper. A trip which used to take 2 hours before, and people were uncomfortable riding on rickshaws, on buses, now only takes 40 minutes. And that saves, not only saves their time, but also increases their productivity.
Dhaka launched application-based ride-sharing in May 2015. Since then, more than 24 companies have sprung up and currently operate in the city, though only 12 are registered with the country's road transportation authorities. This change comes even as city dwellers continue to endure traffic jams.
Local authorities in India's southern Karnataka province organized a ragi ball or finger millet eating competition as part of an annual festival this week. More than 40 women participated in the competition, which was aimed to promote vegetarian meals among people.
Women of all age groups gathered at a ragi balls or finger millet eating competition held earlier this week in Shivamogga city of India's southern Karnataka province. The participants were seen digging in the scrumptious combination of millet balls and sambar or vegetable lentil stew, both the traditional delicacies of Karnataka. Winner of the competition, Suma, said that she loved the meal and had 5 ragi balls to win the first place in the competition.
So many people had a ragi balls, and it is a very healthy food also, and it is a traditional food of Karnataka. Before that, we used to conduct a competition of eating a idli competition. Now this time we have changed ragi balls with a vegetarian sambar. So many people, so many participants had a nice ragi balls.
ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಬಂದೆ ತುಂಬ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧೆ ಮುದ್ದೆ ತುಂಬ ಸ್ಮೂತ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಸಾಂಬಾರ್ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಮುದ್ದೆ ನುಂಗಿದ್ದು ಅನಿಸ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 2 ಮುದ್ದೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ನುಂಗಿ ಬೇಗ ನುಂಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಬೇಗ ನುಂಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮುದ್ದೆ ಇಸ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮುದ್ದೆ 5 ಮುದ್ದೆ ಬಂತು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಹೊಸ ಅನುಭವ ಇದು.
The competition was organized by local authorities during an annual festival fair of Shivamogga city. It aimed at promoting vegetarian meals and encourage involvement of locals.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Indian Prime Minister Modi holds talks with presidents of Cyprus, Iran. UN expresses concern over security ahead of Afghan presidential poll. And Sri Lanka's ruling party nominates Sajith Premadasa as presidential candidate. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.